Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this SyncWire USB 3 to RJ45 gigabit Ethernet adapter. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. So if you find this video helpful, I'll put a link to this in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So this says for devices with a USB 3.0 female or 2.0 female port. So if you want the gigabit speed, you'll want to use a 3.0 port, but it will still work with 2.0, it'll just work at a lower speed. Now a lower speed will still allow you to do things like stream video. That shouldn't be a problem. The 2.0 speeds can handle that easily. So here are the specs. It says connector A is RJ45, connector B is USB type A, USB 3. Connector dimension is 15 by 65 by 24 millimeters. Cable length is 210 millimeters, so that's about 8 inches. The color is black. Features: ready to use, easy to install, plug and play. Multiple layers of braided shielding, minimize interference and signal loss. Supports USB 3.0 data transfer and backwards compatible with previous USB standards. Furnishes your USB 3.0 compatible devices with solid, stable Ethernet connection. So this will work with Windows 10, 8, 8.1, 7, Vista, XP, macOS 10.5 or above, Linux, and Chrome. It says it does not support Windows RT or Android. So here's the adapter, warranty card, and a user guide. So there are a number of reasons why someone might want or need one of these. One is that computers nowadays, like laptops, may not come with an Ethernet adapter in it, and you may need to plug into a network. So you would need an adapter like this. Now I've actually used laptops that have Ethernet on them, but the Ethernet port is not easy to use. It's just hard to connect and disconnect. So you could actually plug Ethernet into here and then plug this into your computer, like say you're at an office, and then at the end of the day just unplug this and leave it on your desk. The next day you come in, plug this in, and then you don't have to mess with this. So if you have a difficult to plug in Ethernet port on your laptop, this may be a better option. This could also be used to add a second Ethernet port to a computer, like if you had a small form factor PC and you want to add a second port to, for instance, set up a home network router. You could use something like this. So I'm going to plug this in my Mac to first test it out. So I'm going to plug this network cable in here. I'll plug this into the USB-C port on my Mac, like so. So I'll go to my system preferences, I'll go to network, and here we have the adapter. So it already assigned it an IP address, it just worked automatically. So now I'll open up Safari. So I'm going to pull up a web-based speed test I have on my LAN. So this will test the network speed, not necessarily the internet speed, because my internet speed is a lot slower than the network adapter can handle. And just to make sure I'm doing this right, I'm going to go in and turn off my Wi-Fi. The way this is set up, since the Ethernet is at the top, it should be using Ethernet, but I don't want to take any chances. So the only thing we're using now is the Ethernet connection. I'll hit start. So here we're getting around 800 megabits per second. And that is download speed. And we're getting around 700 megabits per second upload speed. It's varying quite a bit. So this speed test is hosted on a server I have, and there could be other activity on the server that would affect these speeds. So now I'm going to try it on my Windows computer. So I currently have Ethernet plugged into this computer. So I'm going to unplug it, plug it into the adapter, and then plug it into this computer. So I'll open up that speed test again. I'll hit start. Okay, and here we're getting a lower speed. Okay, so I discovered something. I had a keyboard dongle plugged into the same USB bus as the adapter. So it was a USB 2.0 device. So now I have just a 3.0 device plugged in, which is the Ethernet adapter. And if I run this test again, we're going to see faster speeds here. So you want to make sure this adapter is the only thing plugged in. You don't want any, say, legacy devices plugged into the same bus. So on a computer, a lot of times you'll see USB ports in pairs, and I had this in the other one in the same area. So I moved that dongle to a different port, and now we're getting the faster speeds here. So we're getting the 830 megabits per second download and the 960 upload. And that's a limitation of the USB standard as opposed to the adapter itself. So now I'll boot into Ubuntu and we'll test that. Okay, so we're booted into Ubuntu. I'll open up a web browser. So I just booted this, so it may be doing some system updates, but we'll run the test anyway. And here we're getting around 940 megabits per second download. and we're getting around 970 megabits per second upload. So I've also tested this with my Mac with the M1 processor. It's in a different room right now, and this worked with it too. So I have the Mac Mini, which has the USB-A port on it, but if you have the MacBooks, you'll need an adapter to plug this into the USB-C. But this is an option you can use if you need to add Ethernet to the Mac with Apple Silicon. So I didn't mention this earlier, but the Mac I was using was running Big Sur, and I've tried other brands of USB to Ethernet adapters, and they didn't work. They needed a special driver, and the driver became incompatible with Big Sur, so they no longer work. I like that this just plugged in and worked. I didn't install any drivers or anything. I plugged Ethernet into it, plugged it into the computer, and it was on the network. So if you're looking for an Ethernet adapter for a Mac, I think this is a great option. But as I showed in this video, it also seamlessly works with Windows 10 and Ubuntu, and I'm sure it works well with the other versions of Windows and other versions of Linux. The only thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to plug this in and plug in a USB 2.0 or older device right next to it, because that can slow it down. Although that may not be an issue. If you're just streaming video or something, this would probably work. If you're moving large files around, you probably want to try and get the most speed out of this. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.